Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
I'm ready for the event.
USA Science and Engineering Festival, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Hello, Mission Control. This is the USA Science and Engineering Festival. You're loud and clear.
And I've got you loud and clear as well.
All right. Hey, Jeff, we see you floating up there right now, waving to the crowd. All right. So, Jeff, where are you right at this moment? Where's the space station?
We're just heading up over the Atlantic toward Europe. We just passed south of the Bahamas. Prior to that, right over the Panama Canal. I was out trying to get a picture of the Panama Canal, but as usual, it was pretty cloudy. But the Bahamas look beautiful as always.
Okay, all right. So we got a little bit of misinformation. We thought that you had been there about 10 or 15 minutes ago and that you were further along. Is that possible?
Well, we crossed Panama about 10 minutes ago, yes, and now we're heading over the Atlantic Ocean toward Europe.
Got it. All right. That's great. And you're traveling, what, 17,500 miles an hour?
That's right. 17,500 miles an hour, 90 minutes around the Earth, 16 times a day we go around the Earth.
What does it feel like?
Okay. Now, there's a delay in the communication. Okay. So, all right. So, Jeff, I want to introduce you to two Nickelodeon stars, Cree and Madison, and they're going to take over the questions. And so I'm letting them know there's a little bit of a delay, so we'll pause after we speak. So, first question.
What do you miss most about Earth?
Oh, of course, what I miss the most is my family, being away from my wife and my kids and my daughters-in-law and my grandkids. That's what I miss the most.
All right. Next question. What have you been working on today?
Today was mostly a day off. However, I have been working on an experiment where we're studying the effects of weightlessness on, it's a biology experiment, growing nematodes. And putting them under an experiment. It's a Japanese experiment, so I've been working with the Tsukuba Space Center in Japan today and over the last several days, actually.
That's awesome. Where's your favorite place to hang out on the space station?
Oh, that's easy. My favorite place to hang out is in the cupola. I call it the window on the world. It's got 7 windows. It's the only place on the space station where we can see the entire globe of the Earth. So it's a fantastic place to hang out.
That's awesome. So today is your day off. So what do you like to do for fun when you're not conducting such important experiments?
Well, the cupola being my favorite place to hang out, I usually go there with a camera. And it's a camera with a big lens like this. So I love to take pictures of the Earth. The Earth is a beautiful place, never-ending variety of weather systems, of landforms, of ocean currents, of light conditions. So it's a great place to take pictures of, and I do that a lot in my free time.
Okay, what's your favorite food to eat in space?
Well, I've got lots of favorites up here. I like a lot of different kinds of foods, just like I like on Earth. Of course, we don't get fresh food very often, but we did last week get some fresh fruits and vegetables. And when you haven't had those for a while, those become your favorite, or at least among your favorite things.
Awesome. What's your advice for some students here who have an interest in being involved in NASA and space?
Well, of course, you're there because you have an interest in math and science and engineering and technology, and that's great. If you have an interest and that's what you want to pursue, I would encourage you to work hard toward that goal. Study hard in school. Find out what doors open before you and enter. Don't be afraid to enter those doors. And when you're shooting for something, when you have a goal out in front of you and you maybe fail on occasion to progress toward that goal, don't give up. Persevere and continue to work hard and go through those doors that open before you.
All right. So as you know, we're here at the USA Science and Engineering Festival with hundreds of thousands of students who are interested in STEM. Okay, so from your perspective, why is STEM so important?
Oh, wow. Well, if you look at the history of civilization, it really, civilization really blossomed, really grew with the advent of science and exploration. It's called the Age of Discovery. And it's really because the Earth is so observable and we can extract things from the Earth that we're able to use science and technology and develop it for the good of humankind. So it has made a huge difference in history for the people on Earth. So that's why it's so important to continue that exploration and discovery out of this world that we see around us.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Jeff, this is Greg here. Is it true that you took, on a previous space flight, is it true that you took a photograph of an erupting volcano that actually was not known until the moment that that image was sent down? Is that really true? Tell us that story.
That's right. That was in May of 2006, and there were only two of us on board, Pavel Vinogradov and I. And I was back in the Russian segment. I took a break, went back and had a short conversation with Pavel. I think we had a bag of tea. We drink tea through a straw. And I was coming back up here in the laboratory module to continue my work. I looked out the window. I saw the Aleutian Islands off the coast of Alaska. And I grabbed the camera just like this, and I started taking pictures of it. First one island, then the next island, then the next island. And all of a sudden, something didn't look right in that last one, and I went back and reframed the picture, and there was a volcano, brand new eruption. I could see the entire plume. It had just started. So I was able to take 2 or 3 pictures. One orbit later, 90 minutes later, I set the alarm on my watch to be back in the window to take some more pictures, and it was done. It had been, the eruption was complete. My guess is it only lasted 20 minutes or so. I had called Mission Control. They contacted the Alaskan Volcano Observatory. They didn't know about it yet. But they did see the data later. So they verified the eruption. They also had some other satellite imagery that verified the eruption. To my knowledge, to this date, I'm the only one either on or off the planet that happened to see that particular eruption. So it was an exciting day for me personally.
That's an awesome story. Thanks, Jeff.
Crazy.
All right, ladies, do you have other questions?
Well, what is the number one best thing about being in space?
Oh, there's lots of nice things to be in space. I talked about viewing the Earth. Of course, you can play with things, doing experiments in a weightless environment, studying physics, doing physics practical exercises in a weightless environment is always a lot of fun. All astronauts turn to kids again. We love to play with our food and catch food in our mouth and whatnot. So there's all kinds of great things to do in a weightless environment.
Is that like a 400 millimeter lens right there? Is that what that is? Or is it smaller? What size is that thing?
No, this is a 400 millimeter lens. Here's an 800 millimeter lens with a doubler on it. It's bigger than the one that what you know of when you were up here, Greg. But we've got a whole variety of lenses. We got many, many lenses, everything from these big lenses all the way to very wide angle lenses to take all of the photography that we're asked to do, and then of course all the volunteer photography that we choose to do.
All right, go ahead, lady.
How do you feel whenever you float? Like, what do you feel like? Does it, like, how does it feel?
It's difficult to describe. When you first get up here, you feel like everything inside your body starts to float. The organs inside your abdomen float up. your shoulders, your arms float up, and you feel like your shoulders, you're shrugging your shoulders continually. Then you get used to it after a while. It takes a few days, and then you feel very comfortable, but I would say that it takes about 6 weeks to fully acclimate. And then you get to a point where there is no really logical up or down anymore. You can work in any orientation, and in your mind, you just make anything up or down, depending upon the task that you're doing. You learn how to move around with your feet. You don't need your hands to do it. Right now, I'm hooking my feet in handrails to just kind of push myself around and catch myself, and so you get very accustomed up here after a period of weeks.
Wow. So, Jeff, you first flew on the space shuttle in 2000. Yes, it is now 16 years later. So have you noticed any visual differences on the surface of Earth from your view?
That's a great question.
That is a good question. We hear about that all the time. Frankly, I don't see a whole lot of difference. Now, of course, there's differences in the details. There have been forestry operations, and there have been changes in agriculture. There have been development in agriculture. There's been fields that have left fallow. There have been earthquakes, of course, periodically that have caused damage. There have been storms that have come through, hurricanes that have come through and caused change. But all in all, I don't see a lot of change. Now, I do see changes over time. For example, when I first got here a few weeks ago, the entire Sahara Desert in northern Africa and half of Asia, the eastern part of Asia, was all full of dust storms and very hazy. Now it's cleared out again. So Africa is fairly clear, and Asia is starting to clear out. Those things pop up every once in a while, and then they go away. I think that's the normal cycles of weather patterns and other phenomena on the Earth.
So,
Two more questions, ladies.
all right.
Two more questions. So pick your best last question.
Okay. So, what does it smell like in the space station? Like,
That's a great question. Because right now I would say it doesn't smell like anything. It's a very clean atmosphere. However, I will say when I first got here this time, the smell was very familiar to me, the smell of the space station. It's sort of a laboratory smell. I can't quite explain it. It's unique to the space station, but I found it was very strong when I first got on board. But within a couple of days, I acclimated to it, and I can't smell it anymore. And when I arrived on board, I asked my crewmates about it, and they said, "Oh, we don't smell anything." So you acclimate to the smells here. But I would say it smells sort of like a unique laboratory.
oh, okay. Awesome. All right, so last question.
Well, okay, for this round, but we got more after.
All right. What is the most amazing thing that you've seen in space?
Oh man, there's a long list of amazing things I've seen in space. I talked about that volcano before. I've seen some amazing views of the Bahamas, the reefs. I've seen amazing panoramas of mountain ranges on the horizon, or oblique angles, or seeing places that I live or have lived in the past are always emotionally very good, because exciting to see that. We saw a rocket launch a couple weeks ago. We saw a rocket launching through space. It was at night, and it was the Progress launching to deliver us cargo, and we saw it way up above the atmosphere all the way till the main engine cut off. That was an amazing event just recently.
Wow, that's awesome.
Great. Okay, well, Jeff, we have a huge festival here, and they scoured the entire festival for one student, one special student. So come up here while we're talking about the one special student has a question for you, and enter the stage.
Come on up.
All right.
Woo! Woo!
And what's your name? What's your name?
My name is Rachel.
Okay, Rachel, nice to meet you. From around here?
I'm from Maryland.
Okay, very good. Well, this is Jeff Williams. He's live on the space station, so ask your question.
What effect does gravity have on your brain when you're weightless?
Good question, Rachel. Being up here does have impacts on your body. On your brain, I'm not sure, other than I would say that you have to concentrate a little bit more up here than you do on the ground. we have a couple of theories that that maybe support that. Our CO2 levels are a little bit higher than they are on the planet, and we think that that has something to do with it. It's sort of a fullness in the head. But that's how I don't know if, what the effect it has on the brain per se, but it does have an effect that you subjectively feel. Of course, we have other effects. Our muscles and our bones can atrophy, so we exercise every day to prevent that so that we can be prepared to come back to Earth and fight the forces of gravity again.
Okay, well, thank you very much, Rachel. Let's hear an applause for Rachel. All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Jeff, and to close this all off, we have about 4 more minutes, and I'm going to give you about a minute to give final thoughts here in a few minutes. But social media has been buzzing,
Yes.
and we have thousands of questions that have bubbled up, but a couple ones are common themes, and so one of them is, what do you miss most from the Earth? You've been up there, 28 days or so? What do you miss most, this mission or maybe other missions?
Well, of course, like I said before, or I alluded to it before, one of the things you miss most, of course, is your family. Your family, they're on the ground. They're waiting for you. We're busy up here. We're busy every day, but and they worry about us a little bit for obvious reasons. This is not it has some risk being up here, and it's like all of us. We all love relationships, so family is what I miss the most.
Okay, and I was the same, and I guess you ladies asked a form of that question already, but it sounds like the whole world wants to ask you that same question. Okay, here's number 2. What plants would you like to grow in space?
Ooh.
Oh, good question. Well, there's 2 categories. I would say that one would be a category of plants that are just pleasant to have around. Like we have house plants or whatnot. Of course, flowering plants would be great to have up here just to spice up the place a little bit. And the other category of plant that I would love to grow up here are plants that you can eat because it would be fresh food, fresh vegetables or fruit. And, of course, that's one of the things that we don't get very often up here.
Wow.
Okay, and I see there's another repeat question. So here's the next one. Are there any drones used in space? And they might be talking about satellites too. So can you talk about just unmanned things that move around in space, either on the space station or off the space station?
Well, we have an experiment called Spheres where we have these volleyball-sized objects, and they can be programmed to fly around inside the space station. It's an experiment. We're not using it operationally, so we do have those on board. They've been here on board for many years. I've executed that experiment all the way back to 2006. Of course, there are many other satellites in orbit around the Earth in different orbits. We don't use them directly. We do use some of them for communication systems, but we don't see them. We try to avoid, actually, objects in space that might come close to colliding with the space station. That's one of the things we worry about, and occasionally we have to change the orbit of the space station just to avoid that. But in general, we don't see or have direct contact with other satellites in Earth orbit.
Okay, and you all were involved in an hour of code, right?
Yes.
And there are kids that actually code these spheres that Jeff is referenced. They code from the ground, and they have a competition up in space. That's really cool. Okay, Jeff, we only have like 90 seconds left. I'd like to give you about a minute to share anything that we didn't share just yet today. So what do you want to tell all the parents, the teachers, and the kids here at SciFest?
Well, I just want to applaud your efforts and applaud the what you're doing there. You're all coming together to get energized, to inspire the young people, to inspire, of course, teachers and educators who work day to day, transmitting knowledge and the ability to learn, teaching young people how to learn, how to study for their future. And of course, your focus is on science, engineering, technology, which is great. We need that in the world. The world has Civilizations have developed throughout history because of that. We need good, talented people on this program and other programs related to space exploration and other scientific endeavors on the ground. So I applaud your efforts. I encourage you to continue down that path. Find the opportunities that you get and take advantage of them and work hard and make a contribution. We believe that contributions made in science, engineering, and technology are contributions that don't just benefit the individual but benefit mankind, and it's always better if we can find a way to serve our fellow human beings. For you educators out there, I will say my father was a school teacher. He was highly respected. I still get feedback all the time from his former students through the 60s and 70s and 80s. He invested in people's lives his whole life. So I want to thank you and express my gratitude for your dedication and your willingness to dedicate to invest in the lives of young people. Have fun there in the festival as well, and make new friends and friendships I hope will continue through your lifetimes.
Well, Jeff, they're clapping for you here. This is awesome.
Thank
I know
you
you're
so
busy
much.
up there. I know you're working hard, and you took time out of your busy day. On behalf of the entire festival, we want to thank you and your crew for a successful mission and a safe return home. So thank you.
Thank you. Woo!
Thank you all. Bye now.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event. Thank you.